All right. Hello, 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 acolytes. Welcome to Wyvern Chronicles. I'm your host, Syria the Southwind. So we got a few. Some of these have been on the menu for pretty much most of the year. Um, so that being said, um, as I said last week, I'm gonna be actually breaking this down into three categories instead of just doing a regular summary. Um, I'm gonna be breaking it down to audio, visual, and story. Um, that being said, let's start with where is it? Why are you doing what you want? Okay, so we'll start with games. Um, so this is one I've started hearing about earlier this year. It's a VR aliens game. So let's watch the trailer. Um, okay, so this is a VR game. This is a VR game. It's based on isolation. Um, I actually like so first off, let's start off with visuals. Um, I actually like the imagery in this in isolation. Um, those I feel like really carried both games. I'm I love the designs of the xenomorphs. Um, but until Romulus came out, I kind of feel like it went away from what made them creepy. Um, and that they were seen too much. But this in isolation kind of go back to what it was in the original, where you don't know where they're gonna come from. Um, because the unknown is always gonna be scarier than the known. Um, and I really feel like um bro, let me pull my notes here. It's got a super creepy atmosphere. Um, I love the environmental details. Those are great. If I have any knocks on the visuals, is that it doesn't really improve much from what it was in isolation. Um, I kind of feel like it uses them almost identical graphics. Um, but I the high point is definitely the design of the xenomorphs. And that's you have to work at it to mess those up. And until Romulus, I feel like they were trying to do something new to them, and they weren't really making them creepy. If that makes sense. Um, yeah, I feel like they could have done more, especially Prometheus. I didn't like the designs of the Xenomorphs and the Prometheus, but just set in the same universe. So I feel like they could have done a lot more with the visuals. Um, well, I like what they were doing with this one. Um, as far as I know, it's already out. Um, yeah, it's a VR game, so think about what you will. VR games tend to be hit or miss. Um, so I haven't played this yet because I don't have a PS5 and I have no intention of getting one. Um, um, let's move on to the story. Um, again, it's super creepy. Um, story wise, it doesn't really follow main the main storyline. Um, where Isolation was based on the first movie, this I think is its own thing. Um, it seems to have its own central plot. So I don't know how that would fall. I don't know how that falls into the canon of the rest of the series. Um, um, it's got some somewhat confusing plots. Like some of the characters' motivations don't really make sense. Um, but then again, there's always going to be those interpersonal stories that come with aliens, any kind of aliens property. There's always going to be there's always going to be some kind of conflicting viewpoints there. So it it is what it is. Um, for me, the high point is the audio. Um, both this and Isolation have fantastic sound design because that's one of its main mechanics. Um, because in Isolation, the xenomorph learns. It learns where you hide. It learns all your patterns, and it stalks you. Um, which again is why you never know where it's gonna come from. Um, um, mechanics wise, it doesn't look like it did too much different from Isolation. I kind of feel like it's sliding. I kind of feel like this one is kind of sliding more into the FPS territory, where Isolation didn't really give you any way to defend yourself from the xenomorph, and I don't think you could kill the xenomorph. Um, but in this you can, and there are too many of them. I think it's a lot better to have as few of them as possible, and just let them stalk the players. That I think is what makes Isolation so great. Is that the you never know where the xenomorph is going to come from. and I don't. I think there's only one. I think there's only one in the Queen. So that being said, I'm gonna give this a thumbs up. Um, I usually like alien stuff. Um, but I didn't like Aliens vs Predator, and I definitely didn't like Prometheus. Um, Romulus, I thought where I thought they really reset the whole franchise. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with this one. I gotta feel there's gonna be a DLC coming out from this. So I will keep you up to date. I'll keep you updated on that. But for now, it is gonna be a thumbs up because I like what they're accomplishing with this one. Um, so I'm I'm looking forward to see what happens with it. So it's a thumbs up for now. Moving on, we're going to Indiana Jones. So this is one that I've been hearing about all year. Actually, to be honest, I really started only hearing about this one a few weeks ago. Um, I didn't even know this was coming out until the end of October. Um, I started hearing whisperings about it, but this is the first actual trailer, so let's see what this is about. Um, okay, so there haven't been a whole lot of Indiana Jones games. The last one was kind of it wasn't good. It wasn't good. That's the short of the long. Um, so let's start with the visuals. Um, so from a visual standpoint, it looks similar to Uncharted. Um, that being said, I would have expected there to be a little sharper imagery. Considering that this is for PS5. Um, yeah, this is supposed to be for next gen. So the visuals are really lackluster for the next for the new gen. Um, it it's good for what's the Uncharted games aren't bad, but I feel like the graphics need to match the generation that it's on. Like this is for PS5 and Xbox Series X, and you're telling me you couldn't do better than PS3 graphics? You could have done a lot better than that, I think. Um, um, I think if I have any knocks by the visuals, it's mostly with the designs of characters. Because Harrison Ford is in this, but the model for him doesn't look like Harrison. Doesn't come close. Um, I think they could have done a little bit better with how the models look. I think it could have made them look a little more realistic. Um, I love all this. I love all the environments in it so far. But I think they could have done a little bit more with. I think they could have done a little bit better with the characters. Um, that could have done a little that could have done with a little more attention to detail. So let's go in the story. Um, the story. I guess the story is always gonna be the high point of anything involving Indiana Jones because that's his whole thing. All the movies tended to be self-contained. So I kind of feel like this one capitalizes on the plot of the Last Crusade because there's a lot of involvement with the Nazis. So my best guess is that would take place roughly in the 1930s. Um, and so I feel like it overexpands on the Indiana Jones story a little bit. Um, I don't know how I don't know how this fits in with the canon. But again, all the movies are pretty self-contained. So I think my, I think if I have any knocks, it's that I don't know how I just kind of feel like they're running out of ideas on how to keep the story going. Um, because again, rehashing already known tropes. But Indiana Jones against Nazis. That's been used in at least two of the movies. So I think they could have at least done something a little bit different with the plot. Um, again, it's got Harrison Ford, so you can't do anything Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford. I don't think you can. At some point, it's gonna be handed off because I'm sure they're gonna find some way to continue it after he's gone. They always do. Um, so let's move on to Mario. This I really feel like it's Indiana Jones. The the music is always gonna be fantastic. The music in the movies has always been on point. That's never not been a thing. Um, my only criticisms are with specifically with the voiceovers. Again, Harrison Ford is involved, but he is not an actual voice actor. As far as I know, he doesn't really do a lot of voice acting. Um, and there's big age differences. Like he's in his 70s now, but this game has him being in his early 30s. And there's a very big difference between 70-year-old voice and 30-year-old voice. He sounds like a 30-year-old. He sounds like a 70-year-old playing a 30-year-old. The voice just doesn't match the character. And in all honesty, he can't really do that character anymore anyway. He's kind of he's up there. He's he's not a spring chicken anymore, and I think it comes through pretty well. Um, but I will give him credit for one. But I will give him credit for still being able to pull the character off. Even if it's just as a voice. Because again, if he hadn't been involved in this, nothing would have mattered. If he hadn't been in there, been doing the voice of Indy himself, it just wouldn't have worked as well. Um, so that said, I'm gonna give it a soft thumbs up. Because I actually like the Uncharted games, which I kind of feel like this goes into more in the Tomb Raider territory. It's got about the same kind of mechanics. Um, and honestly, I did actually like Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Um, it looked like, but this game looks like Tomb Raider and Uncharted drag, if that makes sense. But I do like what I see with this. It's already out, so I don't think I'm gonna get it though. Um, I almost never get new release games anyway, so um, it might change if I see anything else. If I see any more playthroughs of, if I see any playthroughs of it. But personally, I don't know if I'm going to. I'll. I'm. This is just as I've seen this trailer, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with it. Right along went to shows. Mm, Turn on. So, this is one that's been. This has been one of the more buzzy animated titles that's been out the last couple of years. That's Solo Leveling. So, let's watch the trailer. Um, just realizing that is for the season two. Anyway, um, so um, So yeah, um, this is actually based on a manhwa. Um, for those that don't know, that's a Korean manga. Um, um, and there are basic differences between manhwas and manga in that manga tends to be based on lore and lore and mythology, where manhwas tend to be more modern. Um, so let's go into visuals. Um, so the first, why are you doing what you couldn't want to? Right, whatever. So, um, the visuals, from what I'm seeing, are fantastic. I've already read it. I've read some of the manhwa. Um, it's it's a great read. I highly recommend it if you ever find it. Um, it doesn't look like they use really any CGI, which I kind of feel like is one of the trends that anime tends to fall into, in that they tend to overuse CGI when it's not really necessary. It doesn't look like this does it at all. Um, um, I love the visuals so far. Um, I haven't seen too much. I haven't seen really any CGI being used in it, so I'm it's in its second season, so obviously I've been seeing this one going around a lot, so it looks great to me. Um, so let's go in the story. Um, so it does actually have a really engaging plot. Um, it's got some really compelling characters. Um, it's it, it's got it's got one of those um zero to hero stories. So take them that way you will. Um, but it is one of those. They're at least not. But they're at least written that to the point that you're at least rooting for them. Because a lot of times when you have a zero to hero story, you would rather they just drop dead because they seemed hopeless. But this actually makes you root for them. So, um, story wise, I like. It's one of the ones that I've been following for a while. So I can't wait to see how they do. I can't wait to see how they adapt in future stories. And it's exceedingly rare for manhwas to get the anime treatment in the first place. The Off the top of my head, there are only a couple I can think of that have made the transition because it doesn't happen very often. So to audio. Um, so they're backwards. Whatever. Um. Anyway, um, I like what I I love the sound design in the series so far. I've watched a couple of the episodes. Um, and it's really solid. Um, and the soundtrack is fantastic because I think it's all made in Korea instead of Japan, and the production styles are very different. Um, so I was I'm interested in seeing how they wrap this one up. Um, I can't imagine it's gonna be going too much longer. I think it's got 2 seasons. It's on its second season, so and it depends on how much longer the manga goes. Um, for before this show, it's one that I'm actually enjoying so far. So, but if you can, try to watch the sub instead of going through Crunchyroll because fuck Crunchyroll. But as a show, I'm giving it a thumbs up. I can't wait to see what happens with it. Um, I've I have really high expectations for it, so um, I can't wait. I can't wait to see how it develops. Next up, we have Dr. Stone. Um, so this is another one where let's go. I just watched the trailer. Okay. So as I was saying, this is it's another it's another shonen property. So let's start right off with the visuals. Um, I like the art style in this. I like the art style in this. I've actually read the whole manga of this, so the manga's already over. So at least there isn't going to be too much instances of filler, which is typically what happens when you have an anime that's adapted from source material, circulating source material. Eventually, they have to. Eventually, it catches up to the source material, and then they have to find a way to bridge the gap. Um, but the manga's already done, so, and I think this is the last season. So, um, I like the character designs. Um, it, if I do have any knocks on it on the art style, it's that it's too close to fairy tale. If you didn't know they were done by different mangakas, you would never know the difference. Um, but the problem is that a lot of mangakas tend to be inspired by each other, so they try to emulate the same kind of art styles, which is why a lot of times you see a lot of mangas that are look similar. Like um, um, Ichiro Ida is had based his style off of Masahiro Hiro Mashima's, which is why which is why their properties look the same. Um, Again, it's an acquired taste, so it's one that it's one that has to grow on you, basically. Um, so go into story. Um, The running in this series is actually pretty solid. It's got some well written characters. Um, it's got a super engaging story. Um, and uses actual scientific facts. Because a lot of times when you have any kind of property that has a central focus on science, they tend to be more sci-fi. But this is the whole story is about recreating science, recreating technology through science. Because that's one of the low points actually, is that it's your typical post-apocalyptic series where they're basically having to rebuild their society, which means rebuilding all the science that they knew what society was around. So the basic premise of the story is that the whole world gets turned into stone, which means most of the population also gets turned into stone, and so they're trying to recreate all the science and technology that was present before it. So I like that they actually have actual real science involved in it, because a lot of the technologies that we're relying on today didn't actually come about that way. So again, it's very seldom they have a science based show, movie, or whatever, and have actual scientific fact being involved. A lot of times it's super exaggerated, but this doesn't actually do that a lot. Um, so let's go on the audio. Um, um, so one of the so if I have, I actually like the sound design in this series. Um, I feel like it really does make what's the word I'm looking for? It adds a great ambiance to the rest of the series. Um, because again, this is all the stuff. This is all recreating technology, which which includes weapons, which is why which is why you have a lot of technology that is kind of old, but it's easy to make. Um, so as a series, I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. Um, because I actually like this type of property. I've already read the whole manga, so I can't wait to see how they finish it up. I haven't seen a whole lot of the anime yet because Crunchyroll. Um, but I can't wait to see what else will happen with this one. I can't wait to see how they finish this one up. So for now, it's a thumbs up. It's a thumbs up. So moving on, we'll go into movies. Starting with Mufasa, which comes out on Christmas. Great Christmas present. So let's watch the trailer. Please stop. Oh, just kill me, please. Oh, okay. Let's go right in. Let's start off with the visuals. Because again, why? Why are you still doing these damn live action adaptations? Stop doing them. They're not good. And the main reason is because of the CGI. If you have to do it real. You're telling me you tell me you can't make puppets that can do this? If you're gonna do it, at least do it right. Because the golden rule of compositing is you don't do it if you don't do it convincingly. And to do that, you need two things. You need convincing characters, you need actors that can sell it. But it's not believable. None of this is believable. It's like Lions Witch in the wardrobe and a new drag. Why? Stop doing these. Stop doing the live action remakes. I get that I get that they have the right to do what they want with the materials, but come on, they're not good. For it, they're probably gonna make back what them. They're probably gonna make back whatever they've made spent on it because they know who their audience is, so they know kids are gonna eat it up. But anybody who was there for the original knows what these movies are doing. They're trashing the hit. They're trashing the legacy. And the biggest reason is because it doesn't look good. They don't. They don't. The designs look horrible. They're not aesthetically pleasing at all. Please just stop. Please just stop. Stop with the live action remakes. Do something original. Let's go into the story. So, wait, you're telling me. So wait, you're gonna tell me that Mufasa is an illegitimate king. He was an illegitimate king. You're telling me that doesn't that make Simba an illegitimate heir? What are you doing with this? How does this fit into the rest of the story? So what? Mufasa was an orphan now? What is this? What? Excuse you? I'm sorry. What? That doesn't make any sense to me. How does this fit into the rest of the story? You're telling me the Mufasa was an orphan? Not even a birthright? What? Excuse you? I'm sorry, what? Uh, that just doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't. So, uh, so let's move on to the audio. The only good thing about any of these live action remakes for me has been the music. The music in them hasn't been the problem. Because Disney does fantastic music. Let's face it. No matter how bad the movies are, they do great. They do great music. Which is the only thing. This is the only good thing I can see about this. Because let's face it, the music is the selling point of a lot of these movies. If you don't have a good soundtrack, nothing else you do is gonna make that thing worth watching. I'm probably still not gonna watch this anyway because there's nothing about this that made me want to watch it. I started hearing about this one a couple months ago, and it just didn't make any sense to do it. Why are you doing this? Why? That being said, That's gonna be a thumbs way down. Do not recommend. Um, there's nothing in this trailer or anything I've heard about this movie that makes me want to watch it. So no, that's gonna be a no for me. A hard no. Yeah, stop doing the live action remakes. They're not good. They're not. Avoided like the plague. And speaking of live action, we'll do Moana. Let's watch trailer. Okay, so just to clear the air, is that I didn't like the original? Um, I just thought it was very, very, really average. So let's go into visuals. Um, so again, my biggest knock on live action remakes have been the use of CGI. The CGI just doesn't look good, but it doesn't look like this does a whole lot of CGI, except for where it's needed, for like water or something like that. That I can understand. Um, but for character CGI, it doesn't look like it does it at all. Um, and it wasn't even just that. Um, again, it's not that I didn't like the original. I just thought it was way below the standards that was established in Frozen, because the original came out right on the heels of Frozen coming out, like literally came out the same year. I think Frozen came out earlier in the year than wait, hold on. Frozen came out the winter before, and then one that came out the summer after. But I do kind of question the logic of releasing it when they are. It doesn't come out until 2026, but that means it's pretty much coming on the heels of one and two, which literally just came out. Um, so from a visual standpoint, it doesn't look like they use a whole lot of CGI. If you're gonna do the live action remakes, I would prefer you just do it completely with puppets or something, because the CGI just doesn't look good. It's not believable either. You're telling me you can't make puppets that can fill those roles? Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, no, that's just being lazy. Um, so let's go into the story. Um, the story. I actually like the story in the original. Um, so I like the story in the original. Um, um, do, 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 do. um, And it's based on lore, right? It's based on Polynesian lore or Polynesian legend, which I guess is why they have Dwayne Johnson involved. Because I think he is actually. Is he? Is he Polynesian? I don't know. I don't know if he counts. Um, I know he's a Samoan in ancestry. His history is pretty well known. Um, and Zendaya makes him does is gonna make it great. So she's fantastic in anything she does. So she might be what saves this movie. Um, I, I guess my biggest knock story wise is Dwayne. He takes roles based on how much they pay, not whether they're actually good, which is why a lot of the movies he's in ended up being trash. Um, and I don't know about because Maui does a lot of singing, and Dwayne is not really a natural singer. It is so obvious to tell when somebody isn't a naturally trained singer. Like what happened with Emma Watson, she you could tell when it's rehearsed. You're telling that what's one of my biggest beef, one of my biggest knocks against Beauty and the Beast remake two. Belle is a heavily Belle is a singer. She does a lot of singing. You're telling me with all the great singers you have in the UK, you can't find somebody to fill that role? You had to pick Emma Watson. Yeah, I just feel like they could have done better with that one too. But again, Dwayne's another example of an actor that isn't really a trained singer. You can always tell when it's heavily rehearsed because it doesn't sound natural. Um, so let's go. Which leads me into the audio. Um, because for me, the music was actually the high point. For me, the music was actually a high point in the original. I don't know how to handle with this one. How it's gonna be handled with this one because again, it doesn't come out until 2026. This is just as of this trailer. Um, so again, my entire viewpoint about this might change depending on how well it goes. Um, we're probably not gonna be knowing much more about it until probably next summer. Um, because again, it doesn't come out until 2026. So any impressions I have about it now are just as of this trailer. Um, so it might very well change between now and then. Um, so that being said, I'm gonna give it a caution. I'm gonna give it a soft thumbs down until I see more about it. But I think I'm just over the live action remakes in general. Just stop doing them. Just stop doing them. They're not good, and you're not doing anything besides destroying besides destroying the legacy of those movies. And this is based on a movie that, and this is a live action remake of a very average movie. I don't even know. I don't even understand why they did it. Why they're even doing a live action Moana. The original was very mid. Um, there's some. So yeah, again, my this is for a movie that doesn't come out till that doesn't come out for a couple of years. So it might change. It might change depending on what comes out about it going forward. And that will be the end of this episode. Um, if you have not, please subscribe. Subscribe below. Hit the hit the hit the like hit the like button to feed the algorithm. that helps support the show. Um, and with that, that is the end of this episode. I'm Sirius Athwin, and this has been the Wyvern Chronicles. See you next week. Goodbye.